Please search warrant! Go! Search warrant! Hey, hands up! Hands up! Hands up!
What is going on? What is going on here? Your own house! I live alone! Why did you have me here?
She told them 43 times they were at the wrong house. Despite this, the Chicago police shattered her front door and handcuffed an innocent social worker while naked. Check out the video and come back as we analyze this atrocious misconduct at the Four Eyes of Law.
An update on a Chicago woman who was targeted by a botched police raid. A warning about this video of the raid is extremely upsetting. This body cam footage shows police officers breaking down Anjanette Young's door while she was in the middle of changing her clothes. The officers left this innocent woman naked and handcuffed for a very long period of time. She repeatedly asked to get dressed and told them they were at the wrong address. We spoke with Young about the experience yesterday, but first, let's take a look back at what happened that night.
Go, 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 go!
This body cam footage shows a dozen male Chicago police officers storming into Anjanette Young's home on a Thursday night.
You got the wrong house! I live alone!
She was in the middle of changing her clothes after returning from a work event. Young says the officers left her naked and handcuffed for 40 minutes. They later learned that a police informant gave them a bad tip. The person they were actually looking for lived next door and was wearing an electronic monitoring bracelet.
Yeah, man, relax.
City officials went to court to try to block this video from airing after Young and her attorney shared it with our Chicago station, WBBM.
You got the wrong house!
You're being detained because you're executing a search warrant on your residence, okay? I am the sergeant here. I'm going to explain everything to you in a second, okay? Are we all secure? Check, just right here. Just move that over so we can get her down so we can get the pre-photos done.
Shockingly, they knew or should have known they were at the wrong location within 60 seconds after entry, but continued in their game of ignoring the innocent. This is not the only part of the no-knock warrant disaster that cold Chicago February night. The department's own body cameras proved not only should law enforcement have known they were wrong within the first moments of entry, but that they failed to abide by the constitutional requirements for executing a search warrant. Many officers shown on the videos at the scene appear to take pride in displaying an arrogant ignorance to their own misconduct, but none was more responsible than the commanding officer, Sergeant Alex Wolinski. However, the real story isn't just about the cops' breach. It's also about the $2.9 million consequence that befell upon the helpless taxpayers of Chicago. In addition, the Chicago Police Board fired the sergeant, a decision that was upheld by a Cook County judge. Now let's move on. But first, if this video has told you something, please tap the bell and hit the subscribe button for the Four Eyes of Law. Under the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, normally, with limited exceptions, police are required to knock and announce before attempting to enter a person's home. This requirement generally applies even if they have a warrant. It is a constitutional barrier designed to protect the sanctity of our homes. Watch the footage. Here, the police are simultaneously shouting "police," screaming loud commands, and forcing entry. The door is disintegrating in its frame. There is almost no time gap between the shouts and the violent entry. The battering and ramming completely smothers any knocking sounds. This is a tactical execution designed to bypass the law, not follow it. The police relied on an unverified tip from a confidential informant to treat an innocent woman's bedroom like a high-valued criminal target zone. Look at the emotional and physical consequence. The resident, Anjanette Young, is a social worker, outstanding citizen, and a pillar of the community. It's appalling. She is forced to stand in her own home, unclothed and surrounded by 12 heavily armed men, shouting and trashing her house. Now, here is a sophisticated legal nuance you must focus on. Once a search warrant is proven to be for the wrong location, The reasonableness of the detention ends instantly. It's over. The government is required to get the hell out of your living room. Yet, here the Chicago Police Department continued to hold Young in handcuffs for over 10 minutes while they tore through her home, searched through mail for a name they couldn't possibly find because they went to the wrong address, and repeatedly took photographs. Welcome to the Four Eyes of Law. I am Larry J. Brookins, a California trial attorney with over 25 years of litigation experience. Leadership failed while the commander in charge, a veteran of the department since 2002, stood by gaslighting Young. Chicago's Civilian Office of Police Accountability found these officers committed nearly 100 acts of misconduct during the search. Though Wolinski was ultimately terminated for failure of leadership, this must be of little comfort to Young. She must live with the frightful ordeal of invasion while she begged and pleaded to a group of non-listening males for understanding. When the barrier of police policy is ignored by those charged to enforce it, what remains of civil society? One wrong move by Young that evening may have resulted in her life, or a crippling disaster. To add insult to injury, the city of Chicago tried to hide the police misconduct. You've heard the cliché that you should never throw good money after bad? Well, this is a perfect example of that principle. After the incident, the city leaders went on to waste more taxpayer money by hiring a cadre of high-flying premium attorneys in a failed attempt to block this camera footage from being released to the public. The city sought to bury this footage in the deepest hole they could find. It begs the question, were city leaders in charge of running a public entity or a Gestapo? This reveals a department more concerned with protecting crooked police action than the public. However, the final legal commands arising from that cold February night may be the termination of the commander, penalties imposed on the officer bad actors involved, and the substantial money settlement issued to Young.
The Chicago City Council unanimously approved a $2.9 million settlement for Anjanette Young. Compensation for the botched police raid first reported by the CBS 2 investigators.
It is a validation, in this one instance, that the government cannot hide behind a badge for breaching the sanctity of our homes. Further, Chicago's Civilian Oversight Panel found that the officers on scene committed nearly 100 police procedure violations. We do not have time for the technicalities, so we are dicing it down to the nastiest 10. First, search warrant affidavit falsification. The Fourth Amendment requires probable cause, not hearsay. Second, operational incompetence. In this case, the officers failed to perform basic reconnaissance to verify if a suspect wearing an electronic monitor lived at the address. Third, the failure to activate body cameras in a timely manner. If the lens is dark, the truth is hidden. Fourth, inadequate supervision. This falls squarely on leadership. There was no order to halt the search once the error was obvious. Fifth, excessive force. We are talking about mechanical violence against a compliant, unarmed woman. Sixth, failure to render aid. Ignoring a victim's clear physical and emotional distress is a breach of the basic duty of care. Seventh, incident report discrepancies. When the paperwork doesn't match the pixel, the system is rigged. Eighth, pre-search tactical team briefing failure. The state sent a strike team into a vacuum without verifying the suspect's GPS status. Ninth, a total breakdown in the chain of command. Junior officers saw the red flags, yet they deferred to a flawed plan instead of standing on the law. Finally, 10th, the failure of public trust. Treating a private home sanctuary like a combat zone is the ultimate result of systemic collapse. This case is a forensic map of what happens when government authority becomes a blindfold. Please tap the bell and subscribe buttons so others may find this information. Now check out this next video.